What's going on there, guys? We back with another one, and today I got to talk about some comments Stephen A. Smith made about Luka Doncic's 73-point performance. And not just Luka, we've seen Joel Embiid go off for 70 points. We saw KAT with 62, 63 points. We saw Devin Booker with 62 points the other day. You've seen Donovan, others go for 70 points. So it's becoming more of a thing where eventually somebody's going to get Kobe's 81 at the very least and be approaching Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point record. And it's been said that the rules of the game has made this easier. I'm one of those that believe it's much easier to score in today's game. You can even ask Luka Doncic when he spoke about playing in Europe. And over here, it's much easier to score in the NBA game.
Watch Luka Doncic explain why it's 100% easier to score in the NBA than in Europe.
I only say scoring is easier in NBA just because of the amount of the different rules, the less space, the time. So that's why I said it.
So you think it's harder to score 30 points in a EuroLeague game than it is in an NBA game?
Yeah, 100%.
But there's better players over here.
Oh, way better players. Yeah. I'm just saying because of the rules.
Yeah.
Because the guy can stay. If you have a guy like, let's say, Rudy Gobert, he can stay in the paint on defense 3 seconds, however he wants. Like, just because of that rule, you can have 10 more points easily.
Makes sense.
And one of the famous rules that changed is hand checking, but there's others. Like, if you remember when players like James Harden started taking his arms under the defender, Chris Paul, the rip through, KD with the rip through, and you're going under a defender's arm where they're just guarding you. So if you just take your arm under for a long time, you could take your arm under the defensive player and elevate to shoot, and it's a foul, and it's a shooting foul. They just recently changed that to a sideline out foul, but it still sits the best players on the court down. So if you get 2-3 early fouls on the better player, then you're able to score against lesser competition with some favorable rules. And I feel like, you can debate a lot of things, but you cannot debate whether the defense and the physicality was different back in the 90s and the 80s, you know what I'm saying? So I want to put that out there, but we're going to listen to what Stephen A. Smith had to say, and we're going to listen to Adam Silver's take about the rule changes, and I'll be back. Let's peep it.
But in all seriousness, guys, Mike, let's not go overboard with this. The fans want this? No, the league wanted it. The league wanted it. They say it's because of the fans. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying the fans don't want guys getting mugged and no fouls getting called.
Right, okay.
But the fans didn't want what we saw last night in Atlanta. Did you see that?
Are you
I mean, that was
sure?
a layup. That was just, listen, that was a
It was like the All-Star game.
The Atlanta Hawks, no wonder why y'all stink. Did you see how they played defense last night? I mean, this is not Joel Embiid who played Billy Ball because you know what, you have a thin Victor Wembanyama on you. We understand that. We expect that. This is not a situation where Karl Anthony Towns dropped 58 in the first 3 quarters and then disappeared. It was an APB out for him in the 4th quarter and all of this other stuff. But the 58 points he scored in those first 3 quarters, a lot of those points, he was being challenged. This is not that. What transpired last night in Atlanta was disgraceful. It made me feel like, let's just go out and get somebody that don't want. You don't have to play defense. All you got to do is play offense. You don't have to play defense. That's what the hell took place in Atlanta last night. There's a difference. Don't tell me anybody wants that. No, you don't want to change it and go back to old times. But in the same breath, you don't mean for it to resemble the first 3 quarters at NBA All-Star Weekend, which is what last night looked like in Atlanta, Georgia. The Hawks, you should be ashamed of your damn self. You really should.
Will there ever be a time where the hand check comes back?
There was a point, I believe, probably in around the late 90s when the game became too physical. And I think we lost some of
For our viewers, you mean?
Yeah, and I think for our fans, from the aesthetic enjoyment of the game, where it de-emphasized the particular skill a player had and maybe weighted too heavily physicality, where a big, strong player could come in and prevent a incredibly skilled player from doing those kinds of things. I think of, not that he's a small guy, but a smaller player like Steph Curry can do on the floor. I think that his ability to shoot, his ability to move through the paint, that if guys could just bang him and knock him to the ground, as that was once the case in the league,
Right.
I don't think that would be a better brand of basketball.
Okay, to hear Adam Silver say that, man, I feel like when we watched Jordan and the Bulls get past the Pistons and that physicality, it was special to watch. You were able to see a group mature. You were able to see them have to put in that gym work, that extra time to elevate past such a formidable opponent that brought physicality, you know, and neutralized some of Jordan's skill set, you know, and he had to get a lot stronger to be able to withstand, you know, the brutal fouls that they were delivering. And let me say this, you know, they obviously had to clean up the game some, but you even look at someone like, you can even say LeBron James, when he was able to get past the Pistons, you know, that physicality, that you see the maturation of a player, you know what I'm saying? And I think when you have rules like this, people get it skewed, and this is why someone like Stephen A. Smith is infatuated with the Knicks bringing in Donovan Mitchell, because they can score 70 points, you know, in a game, in today's game. And I think it makes it foggier with who's who. A ball-dominant, skilled guy with the way the rules are now can get 60 or 70 points. And it's not the fact that it happens, because you're going to get those type of explosions with the best players in the world. But normally you would see like the best players in the NBA do that. You know, it's not one of those things, or not even always the best players, but an extremely gifted offensive player would do that. But a lot of times it would be like your Kobe's. You know, you see Jordan go for 60 something in the Garden. And I'm talking about Boston Garden. You know, you would see that happen with those type of players more. You wouldn't see, you know, so many, for lack of a better term, Pippins on a team going for 50 and 60. And, you know, and that's leading to the conversation today about the offensive players being more skilled. They take more threes. You know what I'm saying? It's set up to show your individual skills that you work on in drills more. It's less emphasis on team basketball. And that's why even the team that won with KD, Bam, and Booker and all them, they took a L over there too, because I saw one play that sticks out in my mind when we went over there and played in that last, was it FIBA? I think it was a FIBA tournament. It wasn't the Olympic team. Was it? I can't remember if it was the Olympic team with KD and them that last time. But where he did like, where Dame did like that rip through move and they weren't calling it. And we're used to being bailed out over there. When we go over there and play them, it's much different. And that's what Luka was speaking to, as far as like the rules being different. And we can't bail our players out over here with those type of calls and then go over there, especially when we're not sending like, honestly, even when we were sending LeBron and them, it took a Kobe Bryant to be on the team for us to finally win again. We were sending Wade, LeBron, Melo, but it took Kobe Bryant being there to beat the very best teams, because you just have to be him, you know, in all situations. And so they could do things to pack the paint on LeBron at that point in his career. Even Dwayne Wade, Melo was a good FIBA player, but even defensively, you know, he had some deficiencies. I don't even know why I went this way with it, but I just look at the way it affects us in international play, and I'm trying to connect the dots in that way. Hopefully I'm articulating it right, because my thoughts are scattered everywhere. I'm just saying, you know, when we go abroad, you see how this thing actually affects the American players. And that's what Luka was talking about in what he was saying to JJ Redick. The players are gifted offensive players, man. But I would like to see the defensive players get rewarded a little bit more. You see someone like OG Anunoby for the Knicks, and a lot of times I picked him because he has good reflexes. I watched some of his steals in the passing lanes, and they're absolutely terrific. Like, the way he's jumping these passes, and I may actually do a video on something like that, just explaining it, but the way he's jumping these passes, you're able to show your defensive skills like that if you got like those Kawhi San Antonio reflexes. Because I ain't seen nobody jump in some of these passing lanes like that since Kawhi. But as far as being a physical defender and staying in front of your man, you have to give up so much defensively. It's almost impossible to check anyone. But I think one of the teams that's doing a good job, you put it like this, you have to have a great team defense to have a chance. You know, the day of the lockdown defender is pretty much over, you know. And you always had to have good team defenses, but you did have a guy that could go get you a stop. That's getting much harder in today's game with the rules, man. So I'm not going to continue to go on and on. I just want to know your thoughts about this. Do y'all agree with Stephen A. Smith? And is this too easy and not entertaining watching them score like this? Is this good for the game or bad for the game? Let me know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.